page. As we are starting our second year of videos, which we're super excited about, we are going to be interviewing some other authors about their current books, what they're working on, just their writing life in general, and introducing you to some of them you may know, some of them you may have read their books, some of them may be completely new to you. But whatever stage you're at, we hope you learn something new about them and get interested in what they're putting out there. And so today we are starting with our first, and we get the privilege of having an in-person interview with Rita Klundt, and she is scheduled to come out with a book in June of 2021, and it is going to be called Porcelain Doll, A Church Lady's Story. It is women's fiction, and it is a compilation of stories that are based on a real woman's life. And did you say poetry that she wrote about it?
She wrote a bunch of poems and handed me this book. She would recite these random poems, and I would say, "Who wrote that?" And she would say, "I did." And so I begged, and she finally gave me her little notebook with all these poems, and she's in her 80s.
Wow.
So they'd been written quite a while ago, and I was so inspired that I decided to write it in the form of a book.
So it is fiction based on these stories?
There's a lot of truth in it, but I had to fill in some gaps, and so it's technically fiction.
Okay, and does it deal with her older life, younger life, where?
It actually tells a few stories throughout her life, concentrating mostly on her teenage years.
So kind of a coming of age story.
Kind of, yeah.
Okay. And we have some questions for Rita, and I'm going to let Amy start.
Okay. What is something that you would say makes your books different from all the other books out there? That's a hard question.
Yeah, start with a hard question. Get them out of the way. It's kind of like writing the hardest chapter first.
Right.
You know.
Yes.
What makes my books different?
Yes.
I hope what makes them different is that in my writing I try to include common emotions. And so that when you read my book, hopefully you'll go back to a time when you had that emotion, and Erin would go back to a time when she had that emotion, and Heather, you might too. You do have emotion, right?
I do occasionally. Yeah.
So, I mean, everybody has emotion, and so I hope that's what makes it different. And I really would be flattered if people didn't just remember the story I'm telling, but if they would remember the experience they had while reading the book. Does that make sense?
That does. That's very powerful.
Very much.
Yes.
Okay, all right. You ready? If you had 1 month and unlimited funds, where would you go to write?
Can I take anybody with me that I want?
Sure.
Yeah.
But you
Take
have to
unlimited
write.
funds.
I have
So
to
you have to
write.
write.
Well,
You
it
can't
would-
be distracted.
It would definitely be Europe. I might take a side trip to Australia, but it would definitely be Europe.
Like any particular part?
Oh. No, just all over.
All over?
All over.
You just want to sit in Europe and write
I don't want to sit. I want to travel. And, I want to travel and see things and
while
then
you're
write.
on the train. You could write.
Right. Oh yeah.
Okay.
Ooh,
Yeah.
that would be a great way.
That
to
would
do
be
it.
so neat.
That would be cool.
Yeah.
Speaking of trains, that Oriental Express trip, that would be a great writing trip, wouldn't it?
Yes, it would. Yes,
Yeah.
it would. So, is there a verse that you use in your writing that you go to when you're in need of inspiration or encouragement?
As a matter of fact, I knew you were going to ask that question,
Yes.
so I.
Be prepared.
And I'm not the greatest at quoting scripture, but Psalm 139, verses 13 and 14, it says, For you formed my inward parts. You knitted me together in my mother's womb. I praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. My soul knows that wonderful are your works. My soul knows that very well. I have to remind myself sometimes that God made me a writer.
Mm-hmm.
And I have to remind myself. Sometimes I forget.
Yes, definitely.
Very good, very good.
Okay. Are there any books or authors who have inspired you in either wanting to be an author or as you have become an author?
Oh, I'm inspired by stories, more so than authors.
Mm-hmm.
I tend to like true stories, biographies. I mean, I can read a story about Billy Graham and be inspired. I could read a story. I used to love missionary stories as I was a child because I got to travel through their stories and I got to experience through their stories. But I'm more inspired by the story than the author. That may not be the right answer, but
There's no right or wrong.
There's no right or wrong.
And that's
So
That's what inspires you.
so you don't even
look at
you
it,
don't even
too.
have to be an author for me to be inspired by your story. Just have a good story.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
All right. What has surprised you most about being a writer?
That I can put two sentences together.
That's always good when you're a writer.
I think what surprises me most is that somebody besides my mother would approach me and say, I read that, that was really good, or I really enjoyed that book, or having somebody text me or message me and say, I'm on chapter 3 and I don't want to go to sleep, I want to stay up and read.
Yes.
Like
So-
the best compliment.
Such a
Never
good,
thought that would
good
happen to me.
feeling.
And it's
Yes.
not like it happens every day.
Right.
But does it happen, do you find, when you need it most? I mean, I've had those times that it doesn't happen every day,
No.
but you're kind of going, oh, you know, I'm stuck in a rut or I'm discouraged or whatever, and then somebody just says, hey, I read your book, that was awesome, when are you coming out with another one, or whatever it happens to be, and
Yeah.
it just
And it
picks
picks
you
you
right
up,
up.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, I agree.
Definitely.
Okay, a fun question for you, or not fun.
Fun for who? You or me?
Now, we're not going to talk about Porcelain Doll,
Okay.
because this is heroine and hero centered question, and there are too many in that one to narrow down. So we're going to go with murder from the pew. Murder from the pew. This is one that Rita's working on. She's been sharing a little bit with us at retreat, and it sounds very interesting.
Yes.
Very interesting. And so it is a suspense.
Romantic
suspense. And Roger and Amy are the main characters as of right now. Although we discussed with names of people that we know well and things like that, we may want to change the names. But currently they're Roger and Amy, so we're going to work off that.
So Roger and Amy, as you're watching this,
It's not
don't
you.
worry.
She's not murdering you. Don't worry about it.
Because Roger is my husband, I can't imagine writing about a romantic male lead with anybody else. So until that last minute, his name is Roger.
Yes.
That works. And if your book, which I know it isn't done, but you've got the story in your head, you know where it's going, you know how it plays out, you know these characters. If your book was made into a movie, who would play the male and female lead in your movie?
Well, these are younger people, in, I would say 35, middle 30s. And so those of you who have really good eyes can tell I'm no longer in my middle 30s. So
Okay, so tell me, you're telling me that they're between 30, 35, mid-30s.
they're in their mid-30s.
Mid-30s. Describe his looks.
Sandy brown hair, not too tall, not too short, very handsome face, not quite a pretty boy though.
What about his look? Like,
Good, he can talk to you with his eyes, especially, you know, a woman, you know, he he's good looking. What can I say? And he's a pastor, so he's got a very caring, pastoral personality.
Okay.
But he's not weak or unattractive. Let's put it that way.
And you're wanting us to kind of fill in the blank.
Yeah, I mean, you know these younger actors better than I do.
You guys have one?
I haven't watched movies in forever. I'm so.
Y'all are letting me down.
I know. I read instead of watching movies. So
With romantic suspense, I go automatically. I don't watch a lot of suspense. I don't anything like that. But you mentioned the look. You mentioned that he can say a lot just with the way he looks.
Oh, I
at
should probably
somebody.
add something else.
Uh-oh.
This pastor, Murder from the Pew, has been accused of murder. So he can't be too,
Clean cut?
Yeah. He
Okay.
has to have that
It can't be
murderous
benign.
potential.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. So with what you're telling me, I would have to go with a guy that I watched in a Hallmark movie last Christmas. It was one of my favorite of the new ones that they came out with. And the reason I say this is, he's a good looking guy. He's not as benign looking as some of the other actors. And in this particular movie, there were looks that he gave the lead woman in the movie that just said so much more than anything that he actually was using words to say. And so I would go for that one with John Core. And he's not one that's been in like tons and tons of the Hallmark movies, but you should check him out because I really think he would fit that one. So tell us a little bit about your female lead. What's she look like? What's her attitude?
She looks kind of like me, only pretty and young. Kind of like me, only pretty and young and thin.
isn't that the way we sort of made all of our characters? They're like me, only pretty and young.
So, yeah, I mean, prettier than I was at 35, but not too much prettier. She's strong and professional. She's a nurse, and she's strong and she's professional, very confident during the day when she's at work. But she goes home and she's kind of lonely, very successful. She's got her own home. She has all the trappings of a good life, but she's lonely.
Ideas?
So she's a brunette, like
She's a
you.
brunette. She needs to be, yeah.
So very sweet, I guess.
It'd have to be an actress that can go without a lot of makeup, or at least you know how they make you up, but somebody that's
Yeah.
going to
Looks
be,
natural.
yeah, very
Okay.
natural.
Okay.
Well, I mean, if we're gonna go along the Hallmark movies lines, what about Lacey Chabert?
I had thought the exact same thing. She's brunette. She's really cute. She's an amazingly cute actress, and she looks natural in most. I mean, it's not like she's overly made up in anything she's in.
I could see her playing a nurse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and kind of taking care, but still at the same time, personally, in her private life, being a little less sure of herself. And I can totally see her doing that.
Yeah. There you go. We cast your movie for you.
Yes, yes. So John and Lacey, you are up as soon as they sign to get the rights to this book to be made into a movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
RitaKlundt.com, you John and Lacey, if you want a preview of the script.
Oh man. All right. Well, Rita, do you have anything else you want to say real quick before we close?
Thank you for this interview and
Yeah.
for this
of course.
time,
We're
for
so
this
glad you came.
retreat this
Yeah.
weekend. You guys are just as much fun as you in person as you are on your videos, and I just will always appreciate the time that you gave to me today.
Oh,
well, thank you.
Thank you.
for being our first
Yes,
interview.
yes, thank you
Yes.
for being our guinea pig.
Hopefully I'm not your last.
Oh.
All right. Well, now that you have heard more about Rita, we hope that you will go to her website, and that was what?
RitaKlundt.com.
There you go. And be on the lookout for her book that is coming out
In June.
In June. And don't forget to hit subscribe and click like and to share our videos. And we will see you next time. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.